My dear child, stop for a moment and set everything else aside. Whatever is demanding your attention right now, whatever thoughts are filling your mind, whatever distractions are surrounding you, allow yourself just a few moments to be still, because this moment you are experiencing is not something to rush past. It is not just another random second in an ordinary day. There is a reason you are here, reading these words right now, at this exact point in your journey. For those who believe in God, this is a reminder that nothing is outside His awareness. The Creator of heaven and earth, the one who brought light into darkness and placed every star in the sky, sees you completely. Through every distraction, every responsibility, and every noise fighting for your attention, this message has reached you, and whether you expected it or not, perhaps there is something your heart has been waiting to hear deep within you. Beneath the routines of daily life and the responsibilities you carry, there has been a longing. Maybe you have never spoken about it. Maybe you have kept it hidden even from the people closest to you. But somewhere inside, there has been a quiet feeling that something is missing, a restlessness that appears in the still moments of the day and reminds you that your soul is searching for something deeper. You have tried to fill that emptiness in different ways. You have stayed busy, surrounded yourself with activities, chased goals, focused on responsibilities, and looked for answers in the things around you. Yet, after everything becomes quiet again, that same feeling returns. But perhaps that emptiness was never something that needed to be simply removed. Perhaps it was an invitation to look deeper. It was a reminder that there is a part of your heart that only God can truly satisfy. A gentle calling that says, "I am here, I have always been here. Open your heart and allow me to enter." And today, message is not meant to be just another passing thought. It is meant to encourage you to pause, reflect, and consider what God may be speaking into your life. So stay with these words for a little longer. Do not allow the noise of the world to pull you away too quickly. Sometimes the moments we overlook are the very moments that bring the understanding, peace, and direction we have been searching for. What you are about to hear may help you see your own story from a different perspective. Before the world existed, before mountains rose from the earth, and before oceans filled the land, God knew you. He did not know you in a distant or general way. He knew you personally. He knew the person you would become, the strength you would develop, the struggles you would face, and the experiences that would shape your life. He knew the moments when you would feel strong and the moments when you would feel completely exhausted. He knew the doors that would open and the ones that would close. He knew the seasons of joy and the seasons of difficulty that would become part of your journey. And despite knowing everything, He still chose to create you. That truth carries incredible meaning. You are not an accident. You are not someone who appeared without purpose or direction. Your existence has value. Your life has meaning. You were created intentionally with your own experiences, your own abilities, your own perspective, and your own story. No one else can live your exact journey. No one else carries the same combination of lessons, challenges, gifts, and opportunities that you carry. There are things connected to your life that only you can accomplish. There is a purpose connected to your existence that belongs specifically to you. And throughout your life, God has been working in ways you may not have recognized. There have been moments when you thought nothing was happening, when it seemed like your plans were falling apart or your progress had stopped. But what looked like silence may have actually been preparation. There were seasons when you questioned why certain opportunities disappeared, why certain relationships ended, why certain paths closed even though you believed they were the right ones. At the time, those moments may have felt like disappointments or failures. But sometimes what feels like a setback can become protection. There are things you cannot see because you only see one part of the story. God sees the entire picture. He sees what is ahead, what is behind, and what is happening beneath the surface. The path you wanted may not have been the path that would lead you where you needed to go. Some delays were not meant to destroy your dreams. They were meant to prepare you for them. Some closed doors were not signs that you were forgotten. They were signs that another direction was being created. Some interruptions were not there to stop your journey, but to redirect it. Even the dreams and desires that continue to remain in your heart may carry meaning. Those thoughts that return again and again, those hopes that refuse to disappear, those visions of something greater that stay with you even after difficult seasons, may represent the deepest desires placed within you. Throughout history, many people have believed that God can use dreams, moments of reflection, and quiet seasons to speak to the human heart. Sometimes clarity does not come when life is loud and busy. Sometimes it comes when everything becomes still enough for us to listen. The confusion you experienced was not always a sign that you were lost. Sometimes confusion is part of the process of becoming. Sometimes God works in hiddenness before allowing the results to become visible. Growth often happens beneath the surface before anyone can see the change taking place. And then there are the seasons of silence, the moments when you prayed but did not immediately receive an answer. The times when heaven seemed quiet and you wondered whether God was listening. Moments can be some of the most difficult parts of faith, but silence does not always mean absence. Sometimes silence is where the deepest work happens. A seed grows beneath the soil before it ever breaks through the ground. In the same way, important changes can happen inside a person before they become visible on the outside. God may use those quiet seasons to strengthen your character, deepen your faith, and prepare you for what comes next. Because receiving something valuable requires becoming someone who can carry it. A person must often grow before they can fully handle the responsibility connected to their future. That growth is not always comfortable. It can involve waiting. It can involve uncertainty. It can involve moments where you wonder whether anything is changing. But later, when you look back, you may realize that every difficult season was shaping you in ways you could not understand at the time. Every challenge, every delay, every moment of uncertainty may have been part of a larger process. Not because your pain did not matter, but because your story was still being written. You have not been forgotten. You have never been forgotten. While you were waiting, while you were questioning, and while you were carrying burdens that others could not see, God was still aware of you. Every tear, every quiet prayer, every moment when you continued despite difficulties, every time you chose to keep moving forward when giving up seemed easier, none of it was meaningless. Those moments were seen. Your journey was never about being perfect. It was about continuing. It was about persistence. It was about choosing faith, even when you did not have every answer. And the fact that you are still here today says something important. You have survived moments you thought you could not survive. You have walked through seasons that tested your strength. You have carried things that were heavier than most people realize. Now consider this. The way you see yourself and the way God sees you may be completely different. When you look at yourself, you may focus on your mistakes, your regrets, your unfinished goals, and the things that did not happen the way you hoped. You may see the struggles written across your life and wonder why you are not further ahead. But God sees a different picture. He sees someone who has endured, Someone who has faced challenges and is still standing. Someone whose story is not finished. He sees potential where you see weakness. He sees growth where you see failure. He sees a future that is still unfolding. Your past does not define the limits of your future. The difficulties you have experienced do not erase the purpose connected to your life. There is still more ahead. For a long time, you may have carried beliefs about yourself that were never truly yours to carry. Somewhere along the way, words, experiences, and disappointments may have planted ideas in your mind that slowly became part of the way you saw yourself. You may have started believing that you were not enough, that you were somehow different from everyone else, or that certain blessings and opportunities were meant for other people, but not for you. These thoughts often do not appear suddenly. They develop over time. A painful comment from someone you trusted, a rejection you did not understand, a dream that did not happen to you, or a season where nothing seemed to go right can slowly create a false story about who you are. Eventually, those experiences can begin to feel like proof that something is wrong with you. But God sees beyond those wounds. He sees the truth that exists beneath all the disappointment and all the fear. He sees the person He created, not the person shaped only by painful moments. And today, those false beliefs are being challenged by a deeper truth. You are not defined by your failures. You are not defined by the opinions of people who did not understand your journey. You are not defined by the doors that closed, or the moments when life did not unfold according to your plans. Your value was never created by achievements, popularity, success, or the approval of others. Your worth existed before you accomplished anything. It existed before anyone recognized your abilities. It existed because you were created by God. There is a difference between earned love and unconditional love. Many people spend their lives trying to earn acceptance. They believe they must constantly prove themselves, perform perfectly, and achieve more before they can truly feel valuable. But the love of God is not based on a competition you must win. It is not something that disappears the moment you struggle. It is not something that depends on whether you have everything figured out. God knows every part of you. He knows the parts you proudly show to the world, and He knows the parts you try to hide. He knows your fears, your doubts, your regrets, and the questions you are afraid to ask. Yet His knowledge of you does not push Him away. Instead, He continues to reach toward you with compassion and patience. There are things that have been fighting against your confidence and your ability to move forward. Some of those battles have not appeared as obvious struggles. They have appeared through thoughts, emotions, and internal conversations that quietly influenced the way you viewed yourself. Doubt can become one of the strongest barriers in a person's life. Not always the loud kind of doubt that is easy to recognize, but the quiet kind that slowly whispers in your mind. It says, maybe this is all your life will ever be. Maybe you missed your opportunity. Maybe your dreams are unrealistic. Maybe you are not the kind of person who experiences good things. When those thoughts repeat long enough, they can begin to feel like reality. They can become so familiar that you no longer recognize them as something that needs to be questioned. But a thought being familiar does not mean it is true. Fear can work in a similar way. Fear of failure can prevent people from trying. Fear of rejection can stop people from sharing their gifts. Fear of disappointment can cause someone to stop hoping altogether because expecting nothing feels safer than being hurt again. Sometimes people lower their expectations, not because they truly want less from life, but because they are tired of being disappointed. They convince themselves that wanting more is dangerous because hope creates the possibility of pain. But God does not call people to live controlled by fear. He calls them toward faith, courage, and trust. Fear may have influenced your decisions in the past, but it does not have to control your future. And then there is shame. Shame can be one of the heaviest burdens a person carries. It creates the feeling that something is permanently wrong with you. It convinces you that your past mistakes have disqualified you from experiencing something good. Shame tells you to hide. It tells you that you are not worthy. It tells you that you must constantly prove yourself before you can be accepted. But shame does not tell the truth. God does not look at you through the lens of your worst moments. He does not reduce your entire identity to your mistakes. He sees the complete story. He sees the reasons behind your struggles, the battles you have fought, and the growth that has happened along the way. The things that wounded you do not have the final authority over your life. God can restore what has been damaged. He can rebuild what has been broken. He can replace the false beliefs you have carried with truth that brings freedom. This process does not happen through force. It happens through patience, healing, and transformation. Like a skilled physician carefully treating an injury, God works with care and understanding. He does not ignore your pain, and He does not rush the process. He knows exactly where the wounds began. He knows the places where fear entered your life. He knows the moments that shaped the way you see yourself. And He can bring healing into those places. The truth is simple, but powerful. You are loved, not because of what you can produce, not because of what you can accomplish, not because of how useful you can be to others. You are loved because you are His creation. You are valued because you exist. You are known completely, and even with complete knowledge of who you are, God continues to move toward you. There is no hidden struggle that surprises Him. There is no mistake that makes Him unaware. There is no part of your story that is beyond His ability to redeem. And now, there is another important truth you need to understand. Something has been trying to convince you that your current situation is permanent. Something has been trying to make you believe that what you see today is all that will ever exist. But your present circumstances are not the final chapter. Sometimes people begin to mistake a difficult season for a permanent reality. They look at their struggles and assume those struggles represent the limits of their future. They see the challenges they face and conclude that this is simply who they are. No. But God sees beyond the current moment. A seed does not look impressive when it is buried underground. From the outside, nothing appears to be happening. But beneath the surface, growth is taking place. Many seasons of your life have been like that. Hidden seasons, quiet seasons. Seasons where progress was difficult to recognize. But hidden does not mean inactive. God may have been preparing you in ways you could not see, developing patience, building strength, teaching wisdom, creating endurance. Because sometimes the blessing you desire requires a version of yourself that has not yet been developed. The waiting was not punishment. The preparation was not rejection. The process was necessary. God was not simply preparing something for you. He was also preparing you for something. There is a reason certain lessons had to be learned. There is a reason certain experiences shaped you. There is a reason your journey looks different from someone else's. Your story was never meant to be compared with another person's timeline. What God builds in one person may look different from what He builds in another. Your path has its own purpose, and when the right moment arrives, when preparation meets opportunity, you will understand why certain things took longer than expected. You will see why some doors closed. You will understand why certain relationships ended. You will recognize why some plans changed. D. Because sometimes God removes what is temporary to create space for what is lasting. The story he is writing through your life is not only about you receiving blessings. T. It is also about becoming someone who can share those blessings with others. The pain you experienced can become a source of comfort for someone else. 8. The lessons you learned can become guidance for someone walking through a similar struggle. D. The moments that once made you question your purpose can eventually become part of the reason you are able to encourage another person. Your story carries value because it has been lived. Someone who has experienced hardship can understand another person's pain in a unique way. Someone who has walked through uncertainty can offer hope that comes from experience, not just words. The difficult chapters of your life were not wasted. They were shaping compassion inside you. They were developing understanding. They were creating depth. You are not only someone who receives God's grace. You can also become someone who carries that grace to others. Your life can become evidence that healing is possible, restoration is possible, and new beginnings are possible. But before you can fully step into what is ahead, you must stop seeing yourself only through the lens of what happened to you. You must begin seeing yourself through the lens of what God is creating in you. D. Because your past explains parts of your story, but it does not control the ending. Your journey is still continuing. There is a question that has probably lived quietly inside your heart for a long time. It is the question that appears in your most honest moments, when you stop pretending that everything is fine and allow yourself to acknowledge what you truly feel. It is the question that rises when the world becomes quiet and you are left alone with your thoughts. The question is simple, but it carries a lot of weight. God, do you really see me? Do you really know what I am going through? Does my pain matter to you? Do you understand the battles I am fighting when nobody else can see them? And perhaps you have felt guilty for asking that question. Maybe you thought having doubts or expressing frustration meant your faith was weak. But honest questions are not something God is afraid of. He is not distant from the person who comes to him with a sincere heart. God does not require you to hide your emotions or pretend that everything is perfect before you approach him. He does not ask you to create a false version of yourself. He already knows the reality of your heart. He knows the exhausted version of you. He knows the version that feels overwhelmed. He knows the version that smiles in front of others, while silently carrying burdens that nobody else understands. And his answer to that question is clear. Yes, he sees you. Not just the version of yourself that you show to the world, not just the person who appears strong, confident, and capable. God sees the complete person behind the appearance. He sees the moments when you feel tired in ways that sleep cannot fix. He sees the loneliness that remains even when you are surrounded by people. He sees the pain that words cannot fully explain. He sees the memories you carry. He sees the worries about your future. He sees the wounds from your past. He sees the battles you fight privately, the struggles that nobody else knows about. And he is not watching from a distance. God is not standing far away, waiting for you to solve everything on your own before he comes closer. He is present in the middle of your struggle. He is near in the moments when you feel uncertain, confused, or forgotten. The nights when you cried silently were not invisible. The prayers you whispered when nobody else was listening were not ignored. The moments when you forced yourself to keep going, even though you felt weak, were not unnoticed. Every step forward mattered. God does not look at your pain with indifference. He is not simply an observer watching your story unfold. He is active, working in ways that may not always be visible immediately. Sometimes the greatest changes begin in places that nobody can see. A person can experience healing internally before their circumstances change externally. A person's strength can grow before their situation improves. A new direction can begin forming before the path becomes clear. That is why faith is not always about seeing immediate results. Faith is trusting that something meaningful is happening even when you cannot yet see the evidence. God may already be working on things you have been praying about. He may already be preparing opportunities, connections, and solutions that are not visible yet. There are also moments in life when people leave your story, and those moments can feel painful. Losing relationships, experiencing distance, or watching certain connections disappear can feel like rejection. But not every person who leaves was meant to stay forever. Some people are placed in our lives for a season. They teach us something, to influence us, help us grow, and then their role in our journey comes to an end. The difficulty comes when we try to hold on to something that God may be allowing us to release. 9. Sometimes we mistake the ending of a relationship as failure. We think something went wrong because someone is no longer part of our lives. But sometimes an ending is actually protection. Sometimes God removes certain connections because He knows they cannot go where He is leading you. Sometimes He creates distance because a person, environment, or situation would prevent your growth. What feels like loss in the moment may later be understood as preparation. The relationships ahead of you can be different from the ones you have experienced before. God can bring people into your life who encourage your growth instead of limiting it. The right connections will not require you to become smaller just to be accepted. They will not force you to hide your gifts, your personality, or your purpose. Healthy relationships allow you to become more of who God created you to be. There are people who will recognize the value inside you. People who will support your growth. People who will walk beside you rather than constantly pulling you backward. But while waiting for those relationships, there is an important lesson to learn. God must remain the foundation. Sometimes loneliness exists because we are being invited to discover that human connection, although important, cannot completely replace our connection with God. When people learn to find their deepest security in God, they stop accepting relationships that damage them simply because they are afraid of being alone. They stop chasing approval from people who were never meant to define their worth. They begin to understand that being alone for a season is better than being surrounded by people who pull them away from their purpose. God also wants to speak about another important area of your life, your mind. Many of the greatest battles people face are not always visible to others. They happen internally. They happen through thoughts, fears, memories, and beliefs that shape the way a person sees themselves and the world around them. The mind can become a battlefield. It is where people replay old mistakes. It is where they imagine future problems. It is where they constantly question their value and their abilities. A person can be physically free but mentally trapped by thoughts that keep them connected to past pain. God wants to bring healing into those places. He does not only want to change what happens around you, He wants to transform what happens within you. Real transformation begins at the deepest level. It begins with the beliefs you hold about yourself, your future, and your relationship with God. Many of those beliefs were formed years ago. They came from childhood experiences, words spoken by others, and conclusions you reached when you were still trying to understand life. But not every belief you carry is true. Sometimes people continue living according to ideas that were created from painful experiences rather than reality. For example, someone may believe they are not worthy because they were rejected. Someone may believe they are incapable because they failed before. Someone may believe they will always struggle because life has been difficult, but those conclusions do not have to control the future. God can reach places inside you that nobody else can reach. He can bring truth into areas where fear has been living for years. He can replace destructive thoughts with understanding. He can replace insecurity with confidence. He can replace confusion with direction. This kind of healing is often a process. It may not happen instantly. It may happen through small changes, new perspectives, moments of realization that slowly transform the way you think. But every step matters. There may come a moment when you suddenly recognize that something has changed. The fear that once controlled you no longer has the same power. The thoughts that once overwhelmed you no longer define you. That is growth. That is healing. And sometimes God creates moments of acceleration where things begin changing faster than expected. Moments where years of learning, waiting, and preparation finally begin to make sense. This moment may be one of those opportunities. Do not underestimate the power of a message simply because it comes through ordinary words on a screen. Throughout history, God has used ordinary things to accomplish extraordinary purposes. He has worked through unexpected people, unexpected situations, and unexpected moments. The ordinary has often become the place where something extraordinary begins. So receive this message with an open heart. Live truth to replace the lies you have carried. Allow hope to replace the fear that has limited you. Allow faith to become stronger than the doubts that have held you back. Because there is something inside you that has been waiting to awaken. There is a purpose within you that has not disappeared. There is a calling that has not been cancelled by your mistakes or delayed by your struggles. You may have experienced setbacks, but setbacks do not erase purpose. You may have made mistakes, but mistakes do not remove your value. You may feel behind, but your timeline is not determined by comparison. God's work in your life is not finished. There is something powerful inside you that has been waiting to be awakened. Not the kind of greatness that the world celebrates through fame, recognition, wealth, or applause, but the kind of greatness that God values. The greatness found in faithfulness, humility, love, and the quiet decision to continue trusting even when nobody else sees your effort. This kind of greatness is not measured by how many people notice you. It is measured by the condition of your heart and your willingness to follow the purpose God has placed within you. Before anyone recognized you, before anyone celebrated your achievements, and before anyone understood your potential, God already knew what He placed inside you. The gifts, passions, ideas, and abilities that make you unique were not accidental. They were part of the person you were created to become. And those things have not disappeared because of your failures. They have not been removed because of your doubts. They have not been cancelled because your journey has been more difficult than you expected. The purpose inside you is still there. But there comes a moment when you have to stop apologizing for what God placed within you. You have to stop allowing fear to decide how far you go. You have to stop waiting for everyone around you to understand your calling before you move forward. Some people may never understand the path God has placed you on. Some people may question your decisions. Some people may only see your current situation and fail to see the future God is building. But your purpose was never dependent on everyone's approval. There comes a time when you have to trust God more than you trust the opinions around you. The next step does not require you to have everything perfectly organized. It does not require you to know every detail of the future. It does not require you to feel completely prepared. Many people wait until they feel ready before they begin. But often readiness comes after obedience, not before it. Faith is not always a feeling of confidence. Sometimes faith is simply taking the next step while still feeling uncertain. It is saying, God, I do not have all the answers. I do not know exactly how everything will happen, but I trust that you are with me and I am willing to move forward. That willingness is where transformation begins. God does not call people and then abandon them. He does not place purpose inside someone and leave them without help. The same God who calls you is the God who strengthens you, guides you, and provides what you need along the way. You do not have to carry the entire future at once. You only have to take the next step. One step of faith leads to another. One act of obedience creates another opportunity. One moment of trust builds a stronger foundation for the journey ahead. And as you continue moving forward, you begin to discover something important. God was never asking you to do everything alone. He was asking you to trust Him. Your situation may feel complicated. Your past may feel messy. Your mistakes may feel too serious. Your wounds may feel too deep, but none of those things place you outside the reach of God. God specializes in situations that seem impossible. He works through people who recognize their own limitations, because those are often the people who make room for His strength. You do not have to be perfect for God to work through you. You do not have to have a flawless history. You do not have to become someone else. God works with the person you are today, while helping you become the person you were created to be. And there is a reason you have faced certain battles. Sometimes people look at their struggles and assume they are evidence that they are failing. They think difficulty means they are on the wrong path. But challenges do not always mean you are moving in the wrong direction. Sometimes resistance appears because something valuable is being built. The greatest opposition often comes when someone is moving toward growth, purpose, and transformation. The enemy would prefer that you remain stuck. He would prefer that you continue believing the lies that keep you afraid, discouraged, and limited. But every time you choose faith over fear, you take another step away from those limitations. Every time you choose hope instead of hopelessness, you strengthen your ability to move forward. Every time you choose to believe God's truth instead of the negative voices inside your mind, you become stronger. The struggles you have faced have not destroyed you. They have shaped you. They have developed patience inside you. They have created compassion. They have given you understanding that cannot be learned from books alone. The pain you survived can become the very thing that allows you to help someone else. The darkness you walked through can become the reason you are able to guide another person toward light. Your testimony is not only about what God brings you into. It is also about what God brings you through. One day, the things that caused you to question God may become the very things that show others His faithfulness. One day, people may look at your life and wonder how you continued. They may wonder how you kept believing. They may wonder how you found strength after everything you experienced, and your answer will be simple. God was with you. He was there in every difficult season. He was there when you understood and when you did not understand. He was there when you felt strong and when you felt weak. You were never carrying your journey alone, and now God wants you to understand something about timing. You may look at your life and feel like you are behind. You may compare yourself with others and wonder why things have not happened for you yet. You may see other people moving forward while you feel like you are standing still. But your timing is not controlled by comparison. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not outside of God's plan. There is a reason some things have not happened yet. Sometimes the timing is not right because preparation is still taking place. Sometimes the opportunity is not ready. Sometimes the people involved are not ready. Sometimes the circumstances are still being arranged. God can work on multiple things at the same time. While you are waiting, He may be preparing you. He may be preparing opportunities. He may be preparing connections. He may be arranging details that you cannot see. The waiting season is not empty. It is active. A farmer does not dig up a seed every day to check whether it is growing. He trusts the process because growth happens even when it cannot be seen. Your life can be the same. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Just because you cannot see the answer does not mean God is not working. There will come moments when things begin to connect. Moments when you look back and understand why certain things took longer than expected. You will see why some opportunities did not happen. You will understand why some relationships ended. You will recognize why certain plans changed, and in those moments you may realize that what you thought was a delay was actually preparation. God's timing is not careless, it is intentional. He does not rush what is not ready. He does not release something before it can be carried properly, because God is not only concerned with giving you something, He is concerned with preparing you to handle it well. The future He has for you requires growth. It requires wisdom. It requires maturity. And every season you have walked through has contributed something to that preparation. So continue holding on, not with fear, not with desperation, but with expectation. Hold on knowing that your story is still being written. Hold on knowing that the same God who carried you through previous seasons is still working in your life today. The chapter you are currently living is not the final chapter. There is still more ahead. There are still lessons to learn. There are still opportunities to experience. There are still moments of growth and blessing waiting beyond what you can currently see. God is not finished with your story. Your story is still unfolding, and the most important chapters may still be ahead of you. The things you have been waiting for, the peace you have been searching for, the clarity you have been asking for, and the joy you thought might never return are not beyond God's ability to bring into your life. Sometimes the reason you have not seen certain things happen yet is not because God has forgotten you. It may simply be because the timing, the preparation, and the circumstances are still being aligned. There are things happening behind the scenes that you may not understand right now, but that does not mean nothing is happening. God's work is not always visible before it becomes undeniable. There are moments when suddenly everything begins to make sense. The things that once seemed confusing start connecting together. The doors that once closed begin to reveal their purpose. The struggles that once felt meaningless begin to show the lessons they carried. And when that moment comes, you may look back and realize that God was present during every season, even the seasons where you felt alone. The waiting was not wasted. The pain was not pointless. The journey was not without purpose. Every experience shaped something within you. Every challenge developed something in your character. Every difficult season prepared you for a future you could not yet see. So do not allow impatience to convince you that nothing is happening. Or do not allow comparison to make you believe you are falling behind. Do not allow disappointment to make you forget how far you have already come. Your path was never supposed to look exactly like someone else's. God does not write identical stories. He works uniquely through every person, creating a journey that carries its own purpose and meaning. The world often measures success through visible results. It looks at achievements, recognition, money, and status. But God looks deeper. He looks at faithfulness. He looks at the heart. He looks at the moments when you continued even when nobody was applauding. He sees the private battles you fought. He sees the decisions you made when nobody else knew what you were carrying. Those moments matter. The quiet victories matter. The small steps of faith matter, because greatness in God's eyes is not always found in the things everyone notices. Sometimes it is found in the simple decision to keep trusting, to keep believing, to keep moving forward. There is still a purpose connected to your life. Your mistakes did not erase it. Your struggles did not cancel it. Your past does not have the power to remove what God has placed within you. You are not your worst day. You are not your biggest failure. You are not the painful words someone spoke over you. You are not the rejection you experienced. You are a person whose story is still being written. And the same God who created you is still working within you. He is restoring areas that have been damaged. He is strengthening places where you have felt weak. He is bringing healing into wounds that have existed for a long time. Some changes happen quickly, others happen slowly. But both can be part of God's work. Do not underestimate the power of gradual transformation. A person does not become stronger in one single moment. Strength develops through challenges. Wisdom develops through experience. Character develops through seasons that require patience. The person you are becoming is being shaped by everything you have walked through. And there is another truth you must remember. You are not alone in this journey, even when people leave, even when circumstances change, even when plans fall apart. God remains constant. Human beings can disappoint. Situations can change. The future can feel uncertain, but God's presence is not dependent on circumstances. He remains faithful through every season. He is present when life feels easy and when life feels difficult. He is present when prayers are answered quickly and when waiting becomes necessary. His love does not disappear during your hardest moments. In fact, many people discover God's presence most deeply during the seasons when they need Him the most. The moments that felt like your breaking point may have actually become moments where your faith grew stronger. The places where you felt weakest may have become the places where you discovered a strength you did not know existed, because sometimes God does not remove every challenge immediately. Sometimes He walks with you through the challenge and transforms you along the way, and that transformation becomes part of your testimony. Your life can become a reminder to others that difficult seasons do not last forever. Your journey can become proof that restoration is possible. Your experiences can become a source of encouragement for someone who is currently standing where you once stood. The things you survived can become the very things that help someone else survive. The lessons you learned can become wisdom that guides another person. Your story has value because it carries evidence of God's work. Now, remember the message that began this journey. You are seen. You are known. You are loved. Not because you have achieved everything you wanted. Not because you have never made mistakes. Not because you have always had perfect faith. You are loved because you belong to God. He sees the complete picture of your life. He sees where you started. He sees where you are now. And He sees where you are going. You may only see unfinished areas, but God sees the process. You may only see weaknesses, but God sees potential. You may only see what needs to change, but God sees what He is building. So do not give up in the middle of the process. Do not walk away simply because the answer has not arrived yet. Do not assume that silence means abandonment. Some of the greatest things God does begin in places that look ordinary, quiet, and uncertain. Continue taking the next step. Continue trusting. Continue believing. You do not need to know every detail of the future. You only need to trust the one who already knows it. God has carried you through every moment that brought you here. He has been faithful in every season before this one, and he will continue to be faithful in the seasons ahead. Your life is not finished. Your purpose is not finished. Your story is not finished. There is still growth ahead. There are still opportunities ahead. There are still moments of healing, restoration, and blessing ahead. Ted, and when you look back one day, you may realize that the moments you questioned the most were the moments where God was working the deepest. The delays had meaning, the challenges had purpose. The waiting had a reason. Everything was leading somewhere. So receive this message with an open heart. Let go of the belief that you are forgotten. Let go of the belief that you are too far gone. Let go of the belief that your past has the final word. God is greater than your circumstances. He is greater than your mistakes. He is greater than your fears. He is greater than the obstacles standing in front of you. And if God is with you, your story still has hope. Your future is still open. Your purpose is still alive. The same God who began a work in you is still working. He has not walked away. He has not stopped caring. He has not forgotten your name. He sees you exactly where you are. He knows exactly what you need. And he continues to guide you forward. So, move ahead with faith. Walk forward with courage. Carry the truth that you are loved, chosen, and valued. Your story continues from this moment. And with God leading the way, the chapters ahead can become greater than anything you have experienced before.